What's happening, everybody? It's Sean with Reactions to the Classics, and today we got a triple song battle featuring Graham Parsons, Gene Clark, and Michael Nesmith, brought to us by our friend, longtime patron and supporter, Ann Cat Dove. Thank you, Ann Cat Dove. Appreciate you. Appreciate all the patrons who make this thing go. If you'd like to support us in any way, check out that Patreon link below or the patron link on the end screen. We couldn't do it without the patrons. Running a free trial right now. Go over there and check it out. All right, Ann Cat Dove knows a ton about music, so this is all of their research. They say, first up is one of my favorite Graham Parsons compositions. I believe the Parsons version is only available as an acoustic demo, which is what we'll listen to here. He wrote this song November Night for Jane Fonda, who was working on the 1967 psychedelic film The Trip, written by Jack Nicholson. I didn't know he wrote a movie. Fonda suggested that Parsons' band, the International Submarine Band, provide a song for the film's soundtrack. Parsons, much like Gene Clark, had a knack for creating catchy but unpredictable melody lines. As Wikipedia tells us, quote, Graham Parsons was an American singer, songwriter, guitarist, and pianist. He recorded as a solo artist and with the International Submarine Band, the Byrds, and the Flying Burrito Brothers, popularizing what he called cosmic American music, a hybrid of country rhythm, blues, soul, folk, and rock, end quote. For some people, one of Parsons' most important contributions to music was his discovery of a little-known folk singer named Emmylou Harris in a Washington, D.C. cafe. Parsons befriended her and essentially mentored Emmylou, convincing her to begin studying and playing country music. Parsons brought her to Los Angeles to help him record his first solo album titled GP, and she became his duet partner from that point on, until Graham's death, of course, very early at the age of 26, from a combination of morphine and alcohol. Emmylou has continued to be the main torchbearer for the musical legacy of Graham Parsons, which there's a little Parsons up on the channel. He appears in the top 10, so you're not going to see him if you search in that bar above for him, but I am familiar with a little bit of Graham Parsons, but not much. All right, I'm going to have the lyrics up as always. Thanks again, Ann Cat Dove.
This thing's sort of a Bachian thing. It's really, you have to really listen to the phrasing of it because it's very wild. Say that you're restless, you say that you know me too well. You've seen all my best, and you've heard all the stories I tell. You think you've been taken for granted, you're probably right. Dawn on your doorway shone white with frost, and the soft love that always began with the touch of your hand, and recall the mornings that tossed your hair in the wind. Time's made it meaningless, I'm insecure, you can tell. But why am I leaning unless time had only meant well? There's nothing left now to excite you, no reason to try. Still I remember the candlelit sky and the summer surrounding the ground and I lay. And though we were always alone, and all secrets known, we both were aware and afraid our closeness might win. My love's like a dancer, she weaves through the danger complete. Through well
November Nights, what a song, man. Just fantastic. The guitar work on here is great. Graham sounds fantastic. Just super enjoyed it. Really well written. I won't go into all of the lyrics on them, but still, I remember a November night when the dawn on your doorway shone white with frost, and the soft love that always began with the touch of your hand, and recall the mornings that tossed your hair in the wind. Times made it meaningless. I'm insecure, you can tell. Or why am I leaving unless time had only meant well? There's nothing left now to excite you. No reason to try. And then he just goes up. Just telling you those lines to tell you he was a very good writer. His story is crazy. If you want a little entertainment, just look at Graham's wiki, right? And there's a lot of great articles on it too. I dove into this at one point, but his death, what happened afterwards, somebody stole his body who promised that they would have it. He wanted to be cremated in Joshua Tree National Park. It's a long story. Thought he went out there a lot, thought he saw a bunch of UFOs all the time. Like, it's stay off drugs, boys and girls. Just stay off drugs. Because, man, this man's 26 years old and he's gone. He's still number 87 on Rolling Stone's 100 greatest artists of all time. So you can think what you want about these lists, but it's a very, very select company to get on that list. So Graham Parsons was song number 1. All right, Uncast says, next up we have Is Yours Is Mine by Gene Clark, a founding member of the folk rock band The Byrds, of course. He was the band's principal songwriter for the first 2 albums. He was originally slated to be the main lead singer, but Roger McGuinn, David Crosby, and later Chris Hillman each found themselves opportunities to sing lead, and Clark's presence faded by the time of the recording sessions for the 3rd album. Clark became increasingly phobic about flying airplanes on the Byrds tours, and that, coupled with the reduction in recording possibilities for his own songs, brought about his departure from the band. He was able to sign with Columbia Records to record as a solo artist, and his 1967 album, Gene Clark with the Gosden Brothers, is a classic of the period. It's essentially a mix of country folk and psychedelic pop, but Clark's fans at the time tended to be rock listeners, and they didn't know what to make of the country stylings. According to Wikipedia, unfortunately for Clark, it was released almost simultaneously with the Byrds' Younger Than Yesterday, also on Columbia Records, and partly because of his 18-month absence from public attention, was a commercial failure. However, Clark's solo recordings had a major influence on the Los Angeles pop scene, which became more and more interested in both country music and the singer-songwriter approach to pop music. Note that Chris Hillman and drummer Michael Clark of the Byrds played on the album, as well as the Wrecking Crew members, the great Glenn Campbell, Jerry Cole, Jim Gordon, and Leon Russell. That's quite a crew right there. No pun intended. I believe the electric guitar on Is Yours Is Mine is played by none other than aforementioned Glenn Campbell, although some of the album guitar parts are by the great Clarence White, one of the most sought-after country session guitarists of the time, and a future member of the Byrds. All right, great write-up, great info. Let's do it.
Is yours, is mine. Inside misunderstanding lines that we have drawn. Maybe there's time for something more than what we've done. Wishing not to hold you down when I am blind. This day and this time is yours, is mine. I walked along the walls and there I saw your name. I chose to spend my feelings chance play the game. Stormy weather passed and left me here to find that the rain and the shine is yours, is mine. Is yours, is mine.
All right, much shorter, not only time-wise, length-wise, but lyrically, but really well done. And the harmonies, the great guitar work, some nice bass work on here. Very of the time in a good way. Like I hear this song, I know exactly what time period it's from. Brings a smile to my face because it has that sound, but the harmonizing on here is really well done. Gene, you read Ann Catt's write-up, if you read a little more about this. I don't want to say he was done wrong by the Byrds, but things could have turned out a lot differently and maybe better for him. But that's a story for another day, boys and girls, because we have one track left. And finally, Ann Catt says, we have one of the most popular songs penned and recorded by Michael Nesmith, originally a member of the Monkees. He was actually a songwriter and singer long before the Monkees project was created, and he had a particularly strong interest in American country music. Unlike the first two recordings we heard, the song, it's either Joanne or Joan, because Joan can be spelled this way. I'll figure it out when he hits the chorus. Managed to be a top 40 hit in 1970. After departing from the Monkees, he recorded 3 albums as Michael Nesmith and the First National Band. The First National Band was, along with the Byrds and the Flying Burrito Brothers, a pioneering country rock band, and these early records are all worth a listen. All right. I'm already having a hard time with the first 2 songs of who I'm going to choose as a winner. Now we're going to add another one. Let's do this.
Her name was Joanne, and she lived in a meadow by a pond. And she touched me for a moment with a look that spoke to me of her sweet love. Then the woman that she was drove her on with desperation, and I saw as she went a most hopeless situation for Joanne and the man and the time that made them both run. She was only a girl, I know that well, but still I could not see that the hold that she had was much stronger than the love she felt for me. But staying with her and my little bit of wisdom broke down her desires like a light through a prism into yellows and blues and a tune that I could not have sung. Though the essence is gone, I have no tears to cry for her, and my only thoughts of her are kind. Her name was Joanne, and she lived in a meadow by a pond. And she touched me for a moment with a look that spoke to me of her sweet love. Then the woman that she was drove her on with desperation, and I saw as she went a most hopeless situation for Joanne and the man and the time that made them both run. For Joanne and the man and the time that made them both run.
All right, it is Joanne, which I was 99% sure, but I mean, that's how you say that name all the time, but sometimes, because sometimes there's space in between the Joe and the Ann, and there's not here. So anyway, Joanne, you knew right away. I mean, very few instruments like define what a song is going to be as much as a pedal steel at the start of a song. You know it's going to have some sort of country tinge to it 99% of the time. And that pedal steel by a guy nicknamed Red Rhodes is really good throughout this. And this song also was his only top 40 hit. It went to 21 in the US, 3 in Australia, 4 in Canada, number 1 in New Zealand. So a big hit, and the biggest hit of any Monkees solo song, by the way. So the song has some history to it. Really well written. Michael sounds great on it. So a fantastic song to top off this triple song battle. But now I got to choose a winner. That's how this works, and it's twice as hard, so to speak, because there's 3 songs instead of 2 to choose from. Number 3, I mean, I'm not usually going to rank these on triple battles, but I mean, my least favorite, although I still think it's really good, is Joanne. Now, I don't know, man. You could flip a coin between Graham Parsons and Gene Clark. I've got to pick one. You know, I thought I was going to go with the Parsons after the first song. I didn't think anything could beat November Nights. I'm going to go with Is Yours, Is Mine, Gene Clark. That's going to be my winner, but I need to know what you think. More than ever, I need your help because there's 3 of these bad boys. Let me know who you think the winner was down below. Thank you to AnCat Dub for bringing this one. If you haven't already, give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and go check out that Patreon page, guys. Until next time, I will see you.